Hi everybody. So I recently decided to make a so-called reaction video regarding the recent Game B short movie. And in this case, I'm not gonna play the whole video because it's like almost 20 minutes long. So I'm only gonna go through several slides to explain how I'm thinking and reflecting about this wonderful and inspiring movie. And I want to say that one of the reasons I'm making this reaction video is because on my daily basis as a social and policy entrepreneur, as a person who is very interested in ideas and philosophy, and as a person, I'm very curious and I want to learn about new things in life. So this is partly why I'm making this. So let's start by saying that I really admired the beginning of the movie because it reminds me of, for example, MS-DOS, so Microsoft DOS games from the 90s, like Indiana Jones or some other like of these kind of arcade games or similar. And this brings me some nostalgia because I'm also a retro gamer in my private life. So it really gives you the sense that like you are really entering a game that you used to play like in the middle or at the end of the 1990s. So this kind of graphics like MS-DOS, awesome. Let's go forward. So now this scene with the parasite. Now I have two thoughts in my mind. One of them is actually more kind of biological, that all humans, we have our, let's say, reptile brain or like a smaller part of the brain, which is kind of our more primitive instincts, like, very strong emotions and reactions and fight or flight, that kind of stuff. So I'm partly thinking about that, but I'm also thinking that it can be also very social. So we are speaking about, ideas, our social world that is influencing us. Because what unites us as humans is that nobody in principle only consists of a single story. We are all constructed by other people, by our environments. We are shaped by different ideas and stories in different spheres and contexts and during different times of life and so on. So this is how I understand the parasite in this case, and it really looks nasty. Like I get kind of very itchy when I see this kind of stuff. Okay, let's go forward. So here I actually reacted on the relationship between humanity, technology, and nature, and that it's a story. So it's not only a technical thing, but a story. Because technology is, let's say, neutral. Like you can use different tech for different things, depending on how you create, storytelling and morality around it. And it's also, like, for me, very interesting because I do work with cryptocurrencies, and I'm actually a member, just opening here on my smartphone, of something called Seeds, which is kind of a decentralized community that we are using a kind of a green, eco-friendly cryptocurrency for climate transformation projects, regeneration, food production, and so on. So this is how I understand a little bit, like, so using the technology in order to coexist and, let's say, work with the nature, because the future of the economy is going to be very, let's say, it's already kind of becoming green and eco-friendly and climate transformative and post-carbon and things like that. So it means that for us as humans, it's easier to cooperate by using especially decentralized technology, which enables easier cooperation between individuals and organizational communities, networks, etc. So this is going to be part of our, let's say, common global story where billions of humans can cooperate by using different technological aspects, so to say. And of course, humans are part of nature and vice versa. And here I was thinking more about, partly about metamodernism, because kind of, as I understand the metamodern narrative, and I'm very young into kind of the metamodern movement, I still don't see myself as a metamodernist. It's more like I'm more like metamodern curious person. And I understand it's about kind of integrating different meta-narratives through history. So because climate transformation and environmental aspects and nature and ecology is very much about reflections of history and how things are at the moment. So it's about connecting the modern world, the current world, with how older humans, let's say 5,000, 10,000 years ago, used to live before the, let's say, agricultural revolution, during the time, let's say, hunters and gatherers, how humans used to kind of live in tribes and cooperate and often be kind of very dependent on the nature and the geographical aspects, like depending if you were, like, say, in Africa or in Asia or today's South America, North America, Europe, and so on. So that was partly that, like kind of connecting, let's say, our modern world with some insights about how humans used to live before when it comes to dealing with the environment. And another aspect here was the word bioregion. Now, this is a word I heard for the first time in Seeds community. And as I understand it so far is that bioregion, some people present it as an alternative to nations, or the concept of nation, like a political nation, if you now speak about parliaments and governments and citizenship, so that bioregion can be, let's say, more inclusive, more connect a larger number of people to cooperate, let's say, kind of beyond the nation state, like in a post-national, more cosmopolitan sense. While other people say that bioregion can actually be more as a kind of a federation or a union of several nation, like political communities. One could even say that, let's say, for example, the whole European Union could become like a bioregion, I don't know, maybe like in 80, 100 or 100 years, who knows. So bioregion, one of the keywords, look, check it out, so to say. And here, another very important word, true and wisdom. Now, I'm personally from a humanist family or atheist family. So for me, I was never, let's say, so much fascinated. I don't have any religion. I'm not baptized or, something like that. So for me, let's say science, technological scientific progress has been very important. And so this is like my principle has been like in accordance to Popperian thoughts, philosophy, is that the good thing with the scientific truths is that they are temporary, meaning that you have to change your mindset, your understanding. You have to seek the truth all the time. As a very religious person, you don't have to do that because you read some old book written, I don't like, for 2,000 years ago, and it's enough. You don't have to search for anything else unless you are kind of a maybe more reformative kind of religious person, maybe in some smaller community or reform-friendly organization. But otherwise, like for me, science is very important because it's about updating yourself, gathering new knowledge, new insights, new facts, and so on. And I usually say that one of my main principles is also that to make a distinction between being smart and being wise. A smart person is a person who can understand other people, like their problems. But a wise person is a person who understands him or her or itself, meaning that you understand yourself as an individual. Like, why are you acting as you're doing? Like, for example, why are you eating eggs for breakfast? Or why are you voting for a certain political party? Or why do you think positively or negatively, for example, about a football club or something else? So I think this is an important distinction between being smart and wise. And in this case, in this slide, I really admire this kind of tree and roots kind of maybe representing like the things we see and we don't see, a little bit like with Immanuel Kant's reasoning, and how we need to, as humans, to always kind of look beyond our how to say mental understanding. We have to dig deeper. We have to understand things more in a more analytical way. I usually say that it's not the same thing to be critical and to be analytical. Most people can be critical about something, but I would say a smaller number of people can be analytical about something. And here it's about kind of regeneration and wholeness. Like, we as humans are kind of very local in our nature, so we feel and see our local social world where we are, like in our villages or cities or towns and so on. But at the same time, if we want the whole planet to function a little bit like a federation or like an integrated polity, where all of us are cooperating and there's kind of a global peace, there are no wars anymore, then we need to kind of be very kind of holistic and to be in favor of wholeness, like how to have this kind of consciousness. I can only recommend like people like Ken Wilber to read that, like Spiral Dynamics and so on, for more information. But definitely this is kind of the global approach, connecting global and local. Now here I may be wrong regarding this slide, but here I'm like this kind of talisman. I'm actually interpreting as how we call it, as a crypto token or like a cryptocurrency coin. So I'm very biased here because I'm working with crypto. So I do want to think it's about that. But I do think really that in this kind of a game B world, and cryptocurrencies is a part of that already, that we as humans, we need some kind of a reward system. You need it for your kind of psychological well-being. And this is very much even shown in science. There is like scientific evidence that one big difference between Homo sapiens and Neanderthals was that Neanderthals were not really kind of traders. They were making things, but they were not like really making like advanced trade like on very long distances, like long routes. But Homo sapiens was, let's say, better through human evolution and managed to become more like able to kind of to cooperate and operate in larger geographical areas, also by using, how to say, language and symbols, very much to create stories and connections and identification and so on. So I do want to think here it's kind of about using some kind of a crypto or digital token and so on for the future. All right, let's move on. And so here I'm actually thinking about mostly cooperation and competition. So I'm from a liberal political background, like for example, let's say, Karl Popper and Milton Friedman and Friedrich Hayek, John Stuart Mill, so just to name some of these people, so intellectual philosophers. So for me, kind of competition has been a very important value. Like, competition is better because it's proven better to be than, let's say, than communism in the Soviet Union. Competition is producing more wealth, more value. It's also kind of making it easier for individual to kind of develop through competing. You have some incentives, you have some, let's say, mojo, to go forward and be creative. And for the last, let's say, 3 years, I've realized that the argument that cooperation is going to be more important, well, not kind of completely replace competition, but more important than competition. I find this argument as very convincing because it's partly connected to decentralized technology like blockchain and cryptocurrency and social platforms, because idea is that cooperation between individuals is more beneficial than competing. So let's say I create an application, you create an application, maybe a third person creates an application, and instead of competing, we can try to integrate them. So we can try to, co-create something even more optimal, more better together. So we all benefit from merge, from integration, from being kind of more, how to say, together, so to say. And also because decentralizing technology is not only enabling individuals to cooperate without, the middleman. So middleman could be a bank or a government institution. So not only that we can cooperate more easily, but also it's changing our statuses and our identities. For example, I don't have to be a customer in a bank. I can be a community member in a crypto community and get my money there or have my money there. And I don't only have to be a consumer, to consume a product, but I can also be a co-creator. I can participate more in different processes, in different projects, in different transactions, and so on. So this is why I really think that cooperation is going to be more important than competition in, let's say, the following 20, 30, 40, 50 years and so on. Now here I actually just wanted to say that it reminded me of this kind of, when I was studying political history and ideas, and like how Marxists, like early Marxists and socialists, social democrats used to criticize society, through this kind of capitalism pyramid. But I just want to say the following regarding pyramids and hierarchies. Now, I'm not a fan of, let's say, Jordan B. Peterson. I even think he's more like a fake intellectual and like a lifestyle coach, who is earning money on people who lack meaning in their lives and have some other problems, let's say. But the thing is that there is a point that we as humans, we create hierarchies spontaneously. So even if you look on the, let's say, Wild West in 19th century and anarchist communities who organized themselves like in the free communities and so on, even people there could realize after, I don't know, 20, 30 years that, whoa, we have established some kind of hierarchy spontaneously. Like you take 30 people, put them, I don't know, in a forest somewhere, and after 2-3 months, there's going to be some kind of hierarchy. Somebody's going to be more dominant in leadership. Somebody's going to be less dominant leadership. Somebody's going to be better in this. Somebody's going to be better in that. So I think that this is kind of, unfortunately, quite unavoidable. But the good thing with the game B is that it's easier for you as an individual to be liquid in your identification. So this means it's not like, oh, you are a peasant, like, I don't know, 3,000 years ago, and you will be a peasant for the rest of your life. In the game B, you can switch your role, your identity for many, many, many times until you die. And maybe you could even live up to, I don't know, 150 years or 200 years if things go very in a more transhumanist direction. Who knows? And it means that you can change your identification very, very much compared to even to industrial society era, so to say. It's not like you are a worker and you work in a factory for 30, 40 years and you get like a golden watch and like, goodbye, here you have a pension. But it's more like a life learning process. And this is also about building, this kind of adult education and awareness that enables us to be more conscious and holistic and global, so to say. Now here I just reacted regarding on the technologies and the biosphere. Now, I was reading this book by Thomas Björkman, and I'm actually kind of proud. Changing the world we create, I'm kind of proud of being here in Stockholm. So not only capital of Sweden, but capital of Scandinavia as well, and the largest city in Northern Europe, so to say. So I'm very kind of proud of being here in the one of the, how you call it, like birthplaces of metamodernist movement, of kind of intellectual movement. Little bit, I don't like, Chicago is place of the Chicago school and something like that. So Stockholm school is about metamodernism, let's say like that. And biosphere, as for example Thomas and others are writing, is kind of this, not only about the natural world, but it's also about like our social world, that we as humans, we're connected to that, like we feel loyal, like, I don't know, biosphere patriotism, something like that, that we feel that we are not only loyal to humanity, but we even go beyond kind of cosmopolitan ideas to biosphere, so to say. We are now kind of even going towards some kind of a Star Trek society, so to say. So yeah, the current industrial society models game A is, that kind of not good for the climate environment. So game B means that, we are going towards the biosphere, how to say, connection and loyalty and affections. So, and here, let's say, wisdom, centers, wholeness, parasite. Yeah, so here just a short one. I just wanted to say that here I reacted on the fact that the word wisdom is just becoming more important for the future. So it's not enough to be smart, you have to be wise as well. So, and this is so wonderful. This is so wonderful. Nature creates humans. Humans create technology, and technology must be used to support the integrity of nature. Wonderful. I can use this photo, this slide for some kind of article to write. And this is the case. Like, humans are nature. Nature is kind of, part of humanity. And technology is created by us, and we need it in order to live in harmony with the nature. So let's say, not only to live in harmony, and to be part of the nature for in a much more advanced, more integral way. And this is also about post-carbon economy and circular economy and green economy and many other ideas, and where decentralized technology is enabling more humans to cooperate and be co-creators in order to establish a new kind of a social world and a united world planet and biosphere, and maybe even go towards like Star Trek, some intergalactic federation. But that's a little bit too much. I know. I will not go into utopia, so to say, because Game B is protopia. Game B is something that is possible in the near future, and this is a very protopian vision. And last but not the least, I really admired kind of this the ending part of the movie, because what I see here is partly metamodernism in practice, but also kind of this kind of holistic level of what is it, like light blue in the spiral dynamics. So partly that we as humans are now spending, we don't have to work like from 8 to 5 Monday to Friday, kind of this industrial society model, but now we have more free time. Things are more robotized, automated, digitalized, post-industrialized, and so on. And now we have more time to devote ourselves to cooperation, meaningfulness, wisdom, insights, storytelling, this kind of abundance. So we have more time, more resources, more everything, but at the same time having a very kind of a sustainable, eco-friendly, climate-friendly, vegan, hipster lifestyle and coexistence with our natural world, so to say. So that basically kind of it's not only kind of about being like a hippie in the 1960s or 70s, but in a kind of a much more advanced way, so to say. I'm thinking a little bit like if you have seen Star Wars. So like wait, what is it? It's the kind of not the last movie, but like the end story when Republic has won the war against the Empire. And I always say that I'm Team Republic when it comes to community and identity and fighting for something, for a better world as an ideal. So like we have reached now kind of like some kind of a world peace and united planet, and now we can as humans we can spend more time to really kind of devote to co-creating our social world, both locally and globally, so to say. Kind of reminds me of some TV shows I used to watch as a child. I usually now forget the names, unfortunately. Yeah, but it reminds, you've probably seen some sci-fi movie or something that can remind you. For example, maybe Star Trek or Avatar or something like that. So, all right. So thank you very much for listening. This was my reaction to the Game B movie, and I really recommend it to you to see it, and I'll put the link here under the video description. So, yeah, wish you a nice day and continue co-creating. Ciao.